Hello, and welcome to Spokane County Spotlight. I'm Spokane County Commissioner Todd Mielke, and my guests today are Jessie McLaughlin, the Interstate Fair Coordinator, and Erin Gurtel, Marketing Manager for the Fair and Expo Center. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
So the Fair and Expo Center is a regional event facility and home of the annual Spokane County Interstate Fair. But it had kind of a modest beginning at when we first started out at the county fairgrounds. So what can you tell us about the history of our facility?
Well, it has a long history, as you well know. Back September 1886 was our first fair, but it wasn't held where we are located currently. It was at the Corbin Park neighborhood. In 1890, we were north of Sprague, downtown. 1894, we were actually in a warehouse, an ag implement warehouse downtown. 1901, Playfair. 1942, Appleway at Dishman. And then we hit a brief stint at Playfair again in 1944. And then finally we moved to our permanent home where we are now, on the corner of Broadway and Havana in 1952.
So we've been there ever since?
Ever since. Yep.
So, and I know we talked about this a little bit before the taping today, and that is, you know, it's something that people can pretty much put on their calendar year after year because we pretty much have a set date, and that is always?
We fall the first Friday after Labor Day every year.
Okay, and 9-day stretch?
10.
10-day stretch. 10-day stretch. Wonderful. So over time, the fairgrounds has hosted some say, you know, some events are more unusual than others. So what are some of the highlights of the events that have been featured at the fair?
Well, during the fair itself, we've had items, you know, I was looking back at the competitive exhibit ends. We've had Bedazzle Your Bra. That's one of our later things that we've had.
Bedazzle Your Bra.
Breast cancer awareness.
Yes,
all right,
breast
all right,
cancer
okay,
awareness.
all right.
Yeah.
As the marketing person
Yes,
says.
thank you, thank you. So that's been a fun exhibit that we've brought in. But looking back through our history, we've had things such as diving horses. I know there was a movie years ago about the diving horse, and we literally had one in 1916 that went off a 40-foot platform into a 10-foot pool of water.
Wow.
So yeah, we've had some interesting things.
And that turned out okay?
According to the history books, it said it was.
Fantastic.
We also had a LAN party one year where we had computer gaming going on. So that was kind of fun.
That was very cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where people played video games all night long, all 10 days of the fair.
Really? Okay. Gamer's paradise.
Yes.
What when we talk about this is not just a Spokane event. This is bigger than that. So what kind of attendance do we see at the fair? What have the trends been, and what's our draw area? Where do we see people coming from?
Do you want to do the draw?
We definitely, you know, we see folks coming down from Alberta into Montana, throughout Oregon, Western Washington, Central Washington, and of course our neighbors next door in Idaho.
Looking back at the attendance wise, I thought it was really entertaining that if you look through our books, day one attendance in 1900, they were thrilled. They broke about 3,500 people.
Okay.
So that is not where we want to be right now. We want to be lots more than that. 1989 had a record attendance of 397,000.
That was
now,
89?
1989, yep. Now, I don't know that our apples and apples were at this, you know, as they put it. So right now, we know that we have a really solid number, and so the last 15 years you can compare and know that it's the same system. Our highest in that period was 239,000.
Okay. All right. And much of that's driven by weather.
Oh, completely weather. I think you know, we can bring in the best entertainment possible, but if it rains on us, which it's done, then
Not very often.
yeah, thankfully not very often. But it does happen, and that is truly what builds our
And
towards our
even
numbers.
if it's too hot, it can hold the crowds back too.
We've
Right.
had 90-degree weather, and in September that's too warm.
Okay.
It's too warm.
Okay. So you talked about you can have the best entertainment, and if the weather's not cooperating, you know, you can have a good day turn into a bad day really quick. But let's talk about the entertainment. So how has the live entertainment at the fair changed over time, and what do some of those acts that would be memorable in people's minds look like?
Sure, you know, there's the crowd favorites of mutton busting, racing pigs. We have 10 days of free entertainment on the north stage, but then you add into the mix, we have 10 days of our grandstand entertainment, and it includes rodeo, demolition derby, and 6 nights of concerts. And we have really grown our concert program into be something really diverse and that we're proud of. Used to be really country based,
Right.
and now we have a really nice mix, you know, of country, rock, Christian night, alternative rock. So we definitely appeal to a lot of people. And with that, we're really proud that we can provide it at an affordable price for fairgoers, and we're hearing more and more that people are coming out to 2 or 3 nights of grandstand entertainment because of the value. And with that entertainment, we've brought in some folks that were up and comers that have made it really big now. And Jake Owen is kind of our most recent heartthrob that the ladies loved, and he's pretty big time now. But we've had Kelly Pickler, we've back to Tim McGraw, Rascal Flatts.
Okay.
Martina McBride.
Kenny Chesney, and also rodeo contestants that.
Yeah, we've been really lucky. We are associated with the Professional Rodeo Cowboy Association, and we've had 7-time world champion Fred Whitfield perform. We've had Cody Ohl, Charmaine James, which is I think 10-time barrel racing champion, and Bobby Moat, which is in the bareback riding. So the rodeo is a big draw as well for us.
Great, great. Now let's talk about facilities. So over time, we've talked about how the location of the fair has moved from location to location over time. But as the demand grew, obviously we needed to adjust our facilities as well, and had to undergo some relatively major changes. So, and in fact, those have been some of the county's largest capital improvements. Do you want to speak to those?
Well, as you can imagine, buildings that dated back into the 50s and 60s were starting to show some wear and tear for sure. And so we were really fortunate to be able to be part of the capital improvement campaign and a bond issue to start improving our facilities that we have on our 97 acres out there on Broadway and Havana.
Right.
If you want to talk about some of the
Just,
capital.
in the last 14 years, we've had the opportunity to infuse over $20 million into our facility. And it really shows. We have a lot of people that visit our facility and they say, wow, this is really nice for a fairgrounds facility. And people are really taken back by it, the beauty of it. And it helps that our staff takes a lot of pride in maintaining the facility. But through the last 14 years, the expansion started with new permanent food row structures, food booths, our grandstand that seats 5,200 people, and when we have concerts we can add 1,200 seats on the floor, so we can definitely bring in a good sized crowd for our events. And we gained 10,000 square feet with the addition of the plaza, which is now the main entry when you come out to the major events at our facility. We added Bay 4 in place of the floral building, which doubled the amount of exhibit space we have there, and also gave us a basement area that's really important to our behind-the-scenes activities and our storage. So, was it 2008, January 2009, that big snowstorm we had unfortunately collapsed Building A. But as a result of that, we were able to freshen it up and add some ambient lighting, and it's a much solid structure now. So we're really delighted with the improvements we've made. We didn't even have meeting rooms prior to this, and we've gained 3,000 square feet in conference space as well.
Okay. So now with the new facilities, so first of all, with regard to the fair, I think there are some in the community that still think the fair is agriculturally based, and but it offers more than that. I mean, for us, city dwellers, the new facilities, the expanded facilities, have allowed us to broaden the look and feel of the fair, so that's something for everyone.
It is.
And do you want to talk about that?
It is something for everyone. The other thing that we always try to remind people is that one of our missions is education, because as you pointed out, urbanites, we don't necessarily know what a goat looks like. We've had kids walk into the goat barn and say, oh, that's what a goat is?
Right.
So a major portion of it is education, and we're the world's largest classroom is what we've kind of professed ourselves as.
Okay.
So,
okay. And I know we have a lot of vendors that also provide a number of various products for both those that live in the metropolitan areas as well as those that live further out in the more rural areas as well. Yep. So with the new facilities, we spoke about the potential to host other events, not just the fair. I know some communities have a fairgrounds. They have the one big event a year, and then the fairgrounds kind of sits dormant the rest of the year. But with the expansion, with the additional amenities, we're now seeing other types of events and activities.
We are looked at on a national level. Right now, we've hosted the Good Guys Rod Show in August, and
So
that's
more than 1,500 cars, I think, expected at this year's Good Guys show.
Yes. So we're definitely on the radar. We played a part in the National Square Dance Convention that was held in Spokane last year. We've worked with large BMW Rally. We've had them. We've looked at RVing groups. So we are definitely something that's looked at. With our infrastructure, we're on 97 acres. Camping on our beautiful lawns, we can accommodate hundreds of campers at our facility. We have 140,000 square feet of exhibit space. 90,000 of that is air conditioned. So when you're looking at a lot of these groups that like to come in the summertime, they love having that air conditioning to be in.
Certainly, as well as the parking. I mean, I think that's one of the things we hear a lot about is, and I know that's typically kind of at the call of whoever the event sponsor is on whether they want to charge for parking or not. But many of the events that are hosted at the fairgrounds, there's free parking and lots of it. So the fairgrounds and Exposition Center is now at a point where it can host multiple events at the same time. What does that do for logistics and trying to steer people to the right? I mean, everything from how you book the events to what their needs are to how you accommodate the crowds that are coming to the various events. What does that look like?
Yeah, it definitely takes a lot of communication with our team and with the promoters in outlining what the schedule is for each activity. Sometimes it literally involves throwing up a fence to divide some of the areas to keep everyone separated. But our
good signage.
Yes, definitely good signage. But we have to look at what's happening in our Expo complex. That's our main complex of buildings. And can we support smaller events going on at the same time? And we're definitely accomplishing that as we have a very full schedule as it is, so we are able to add some events over in our Expo annex, but definitely a lot of traffic directing for sure.
Certainly. So we have more time in 2014. What does your event schedule look like for the rest of 2014 and as we look out into 2015? What can people look forward to?
Well, we hit the ground running right after the fair. We literally clean it up, and 4 days later we have events moving in. So we have Hiring Our Heroes, which is a local job fair for local military. We also have a sustainable preparedness event. And it rolls just right along every weekend with Just Between Friends consignment sale, a few gun shows through the remaining of the year, Custer's Fall Antique Show, the Man Show, a quilt show, a ski swap. I mean, anything you can think of, you'll find it at the fairgrounds between September and December for sure.
And the Christmas Arts and Crafts show.
Yes, we can't forget that, yes.
Lots of Christmas shopping at that one. And for 2015? Anything on the horizon that's starting to book?
She starts right out again.
Yeah, we hit the ground running with a gun show, the regional RV show, then we go right into the boat show, the International Auto Show, the Home and Yard Show, and really that carries us well into the summer months where we only have a few openings.
Certainly. And we are sharing our space, I know, and not just unique to this year, but in the past. Certainly we have the Spokane Indians, whose base of operation and their games are at an award-winning stadium on the same site. And so there are times where, certainly during the fair, where we're going to be sharing, during the fair and during other events, that we're sharing the space where we've got baseball in one area of the facilities and we've got events going on elsewhere. So
definitely something we factor in during the summer months. And right now we have to worry about those baseballs coming over the fence during the summer if we've got car shows and different activities going on.
And fireworks plays into the scheduling as well. That we have to coordinate that as well.
So, so at this point we're about halfway through our show and just want to maybe talk more specifically about this year's fair. And so the highlights for people that I know typically we're going to expect 200,000 plus. Again, depending on the weather, we're looking at that extended forecast, and like I say, so we're expecting that as we prepare for this year's fair. Certainly a a boatload of elephant ears are going to go through. I think some people anticipate go through about 6,500 elephant ears.
Yeah.
So what are the things that you're seeing for this year's fair?
For this year's fair, you know, the entertainment is number one, but as far as, you know, the big changes. But we also, when we interview people and ask
Right.
them why you come to the fair, why did you visit with us, it's typically three things. It's the animals, it's the food, it's the entertainment.
Okay.
So we're making sure that we're still getting a lot of those animal exhibits. We've seen trends go from larger animals to mid-size animals. So we have a lot more goats now than we used to have, you know, beef and cat and dairy cattle. And that's just kind of indicative of where the farms are right now, that, you know, you're seeing a lot of the bigger farms, you know, not being able to do that. So
Right.
We're seeing that trend in animals, and then food. Yeah, I just can't say enough about the food. You know, the
Talk
goal.
about all the deep fried items.
Yes, yeah, we have a wonderful competition that tells us right off the bat what the best
Right.
fair food is each year. On Saturday, the vendors all enter their items. We have judges come in from the culinary school. We had the Maslow chef come out one year and judge for us as well.
Okay.
And we pick the best of the best out there. We work
Now that's
really
amongst the vendors.
amongst the vendors,
Okay.
so that when you come out, you know, some maybe unique things that you hadn't thought about. I think last year we had a steakhouse sandwich that probably might have not been on the radar of many people,
Right.
except for that competition, and it was delightful.
What's this-
Delightful.
I mean, for people like me who, you know, this is just one more excuse to splurge in our eating.
We appreciate
that. And so yeah, there are the fat foods, the deep fried foods, and all those kinds of things. But there is healthy fare as well for people that are looking for that. And you mentioned the steakhouse sandwich, but I've seen other food
There's
vendors
salmon, wraps, salads.
There's salads, there's sub sandwiches that you can, use very lean items on it. So yeah, there's a
I've seen the
plethora
wok.
of that
I've seen
too
the
as
wok
well.
dish, the
The
wok
noodles.
type noodles and those kinds of
Yeah.
dishes as well. So,
Yeah.
so the logistics of putting the fair together. I know that there are staff that that operate year round and trying to ramp up for this, but that is not enough staff to run the event. So what is the staffing of something like this look like? I'm assuming. I mean, how many? I don't know how many people are brought on to staff the event itself.
Hundreds.
Yes.
Okay.
We are lucky to have superintendents, which oversee all of the departments for us, and we have 31 of those that come on board each year as volunteers to help us.
31 different departments, and so you have
Yes,
a
yeah.
coordinator for each one.
Yes.
Okay.
And they basically give up their lives for a good solid 2 weeks
Yeah.
to make this all happen.
Yeah.
All right.
So they run their cities, I kind of think of it that way. So they have employees, et cetera, underneath them. And then we have hundreds of part-time employees that come on through our job fair process.
Right,
Okay.
which we have 2 job fairs in July.
Okay.
So first we invite back workers that worked with us the year before,
Right.
and we give them an opportunity to reapply for their positions. And then we hold our 2 job fairs, which, I mean, gosh, those job fairs can draw like 300 or 400 people out easily that folks are interested in working at the fair. And we get the fun of interviewing those people.
Right.
And you ask them why they want to do it, because they love the fair and they want to be a part of it, and they're really curious about the behind the scenes and how it really comes together.
Well, and I know some of these people are looking for work, might be looking for interim, but some of these people have other jobs.
Yes.
They do.
And I've seen some of these people year after year working, the front gate or another part of the fair, and it's like they just keep coming back.
They
Yeah.
do.
Many of our superintendents are full-time employees elsewhere and take this as their vacation
Yes.
to come and be with us. So
Okay. Entertainment this year is who's on your lineup?
So we have the PRCA Rodeo both Friday and Saturday night. We have a free concert on Sunday, the Doo-Wah Riders. We have Big and
The
Rich.
Doo-Wah Riders.
Yes.
So
Cajun twist.
We do
Yes.
we do have some time to go into more detail about. Okay, so what are they offering and
Sure. Could you speak to the Doo-Wah Riders?
The Doo-Wah
one day?
Riders, a country with a Cajun twist,
Okay.
is how we would probably describe them.
okay, all
And
right.
it's a free concert
Country with a Cajun twist.
once you're in the fair.
And is that in the main
Grandstand.
Grandstand
Yep, these
area?
are all Grandstand X. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and Monday night we feature Big and Rich, the country duo, with Cowboy Troy.
All right.
And Old Dominion will be opening for that concert.
Okay.
Tuesday night we have Creedence Clearwater Revisited. So if you're a Creedence fan, you definitely need to come out for that. Wednesday night, we have Jars of Clay and Cutlass, so
Okay.
Christian acts.
All right.
Thursday night, we have the 80s favorite, REO Speedwagon.
There we go.
And Friday night, we have a great rock act, Seether.
Yeah.
So, and then
Okay.
we finish the weekend out with demolition derbies. And the Saturday night demolition derby is 80 sedans and minivans, so that's a hoot to see that for sure.
All right, all right. And these are all acts. I mean, this isn't something that we decided last week. So what does that that prep time, leg time look like when you go through and you try to? I mean, I know we're trying to offer different things on different nights for different tastes. And so, how long ago did you recruit and sign these contracts?
A few of them were before fair last
Yeah.
year.
Okay,
Yeah.
so more than a year in advance on some of these
Yes.
acts.
Yeah.
As they're putting together their tour schedule.
Exactly, and it gets tricky, working with the routing and when, people are going to be on tour and are they coming to any other venues in our area. So we definitely do some routing with Puyallup and
Right.
Yakima.
Right. Have we booked anyone for 2015 yet?
No, we haven't.
Not yet. Not yet. So, for those, because I know some people, they kind of take a look at the late spring, summer, and early fall months, and start figuring out their entertainment budgets. And so, for those who want to look at what's going on in the next year, just keep monitoring the fair website.
Oh, just set it aside. You just know you're going to want to come.
Yeah,
Just set it
at
aside
least
now.
2 or 3 nights.
Yeah,
At least 2 or 3 nights.
At least.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, we like to announce in the spring, or at least by June.
Okay.
So definitely.
Start checking us out,
Yeah.
figuring out how it fits into your schedule and into your budget.
Yes.
So when do you start planning for the 2015 fair?
That's a great question. And a lot of people would think there's a magic date, maybe 5 days after the fair's done this year, but we're always thinking about the next fair. Our focus is on the current fair. But we're looking for trends, we're looking for entertainment, we're always forward thinking. When I go to a fabric store, I'm looking at display pieces and how that could work in our competitive exhibit areas.
Okay.
So I think that we always have the fair on our minds and how
Okay.
we can improve it.
And it's fun. A lot of people from the community always have it on their minds too. They start showing up at our office early on in the year, asking what the theme is and trying to think about what projects they're going to
Right.
put together for the fair.
So 2 things that I want to touch on, and one you just brought up, but I want to talk about mutton busting. I mean, it's one of those
Yes.
concepts that people go, what? So what can you tell us? I mean, mutton busting isn't just a local. My understanding is
No.
it's much broader than that. Do you have any information on kind of the history and the development of mutton busting as part of the fair?
You know, what I would guess is I come from a rodeo background, and we did that a lot of the times during the middle of the rodeo as a specialty act. And I think that that's where it was, and it just gives the little kids
Right.
a chance to be a big kid.
Certainly.
So it's, if they want to be a bull rider one day, maybe this is a start to it. So we bring in Tommy G Productions for this, and they travel nationally to do it. And I think it's kids 6 and under, and they have to be less than 60 pounds, so I'm out. On both accounts.
But it's such a crowd pleaser. I mean, it's just packed every show, cheering those little guys on. Some of them don't even make it out of the gate because they just have stage fright and they're like, I'm not doing this.
And they try to make it very rodeo-like. They start
Right.
with a national anthem. They've got the banners and the sponsors up. It's very, it just makes them feel like they're part of a big rodeo.
And I know some of them aren't able to hang on all the time,
No.
and they do hit the ground, and they're
Yes.
well protected, all kinds of
They are.
protective gear, and usually they come up and they're either hands in the air or something that kind of hurt. But once the crowd goes wild and they start clapping, they feel better and they're ready to do it again.
Yes.
The other, just as we start to close in on the end of our show, is the theme. A lot of people want to know, what's that process look like? How do you come up with the ideas every year for a new theme for the fair?
It's tricky. We have a marketing firm that helps us with it sometimes. Sometimes, like this year's theme, we had an exhibitor come to us at the end of the fair last year and said, did you realize that it's the 75th anniversary of The Wizard of Oz next year? I think you guys should do something with that theme.
Okay.
And so we did.
Okay.
There's no place like the fair.
There's no place like the fair.
There's no place like the fair.
Okay.
And
All
if you
right.
look at our artwork in the background, we have our Emerald City, which is the fair in our silo that you see when you come onto the grounds, but you also see the Riverfront Park skyline downtown as well. And
Okay.
it's also the 40th
40th.
anniversary of Expo 74, so
True.
we want to incorporate that as well. And instead of a yellow brick road, we have a yellow slide.
There we go.
But we still have our version of the ruby slippers, which are ruby red cowboy boots.
Right. And certainly, always we give high accolades to those who step forward and sponsor the fair. Do we want to talk about who's some of our sponsors for this year?
Yeah, we have Cenex and Pepsi's always a big sponsor for us. All of the local media play a huge role. We partner with KXOY for Coats for Kids on the final Sunday of the fair. And
Sleep Country is another big sponsor for us. We have
Okay.
rodeo sponsors, McDonald's, Will Rogers, Big R.
Wonderful.
And new this year, we're actually partnering with the WSU athletics program.
Okay.
So there's a great tie-in there with Big and Rich.
Right.
They play the theme song, or they perform it, for the ESPN game day on Saturdays.
Right.
And the Cougars are always there waving the flag. We hold the record for the most appearances. So it's just a really natural tie-in to bring in WSU. And they're bringing out the marching band and the cheerleaders and the dancers.
Is that part of the Big and Rich concert?
It is,
Okay.
it is, yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to
All
deck
right.
the place out with that new partnership.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And does Big and Rich know this? Or is this going to be?
Probably not yet,
Probably
but
not
they
yet.
will.
Probably not
Yeah, they
yet.
will. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. So, so hopefully we are going to have the extended forecast and Mother Nature on our side for this year
Yes.
as we get through the entire fair. And certainly we are running out of time for our show, but I certainly want to spend some time to thank you both for joining me today. It's always good to hear about the events at the Fair and Expo Center, and for people who want more information, they should go where? Where can they look for more
On
information?
my side, we have two sides of the website. It's
Certainly.
interstatefair.org. Really easy.
And fairandexpo.org, which has our full calendar of events listed on there.
Okay, and that, I think you make a great point, which is when we talk about the Fair and Expo Center, there are two things going on. We have the Interstate Fair that happens every year, and that's a year-round effort to put that together with kind of a smaller core staff that organizes that, and then, as you said, hundreds that add to that staffing once the event actually occurs. And then we have the Fair and Expo Center, which is the facilities, and that operates year-round as well. Not only is the fair a big part of the Fair and Expo facilities, but all the other events as well. And just, now the fair itself is also a big piece of supporting the facilities
It
throughout
is.
the year. And I'm trying to recall just how much of the budget.
I think the last I heard it was about 60 to 65% of the revenue.
For the fair in 10 days, it's
Okay.
amazing. And that's something we would love to highlight, that we are an enterprise fund. So everything that we do and generate at our facility goes right back into supporting our facility and
Right.
what we're doing there.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. We are out of time. I'd like to thank my guests, Interstate Fair Coordinator Jessie McLaughlin and Erin Gurtel, Marketing Manager for the Fair and
Thank
Expo
you.
Center. I'm Commissioner Todd Mielke. Thank you for joining us for the Spokane County Spotlight.